Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And folks, here we go again. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, welcoming you to another episode of Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. So whether you're listening in the evening, in the afternoon, or in the morning, wherever, whenever you're listening, let's go and have a great show tonight. Got a lot of topics to talk about, a lot of things going on. In fact, so much so that I don't think I can cover everything that I'd like to. Just so much, going left, right, and center. Every week I think, what am I going to talk about this week? But as I go through the week and collect all the topics together, my cup overfloweth, as once was said. Anyway, this is, as I said, episode 329. And the campaign is most certainly heating up after the DNC. And last week I gave you the alternative to the twaddle coming out of the DNC. But one of the things, of course, that blew up was this Muslim family who are a Gold Star family, and our condolences on the loss of their son, but unbelievable that they would be using the death of their son to attack Donald Trump, who had absolutely nothing to do with the death of their son, and that they were just totally sucked in and used by the DNC, by the Democrats, to further their own aims. And of course, Donald made a couple of comments, not even all that serious, but just as almost as an aside. And of course, the media blew that up. Well, I am going to comment on that, but before I do that, I'm going to I want to read something I found on the internet from a Blue Star mother. Blue Star mother is someone whose son has been injured, not killed. And she writes, to the Muslim Gold Star father that spoke at the DNC, I have some thoughts on your comments. I am a Blue Star mother. My deepest condolences on the loss of your son. No family should have to endure such a loss. That being said, while your son is a hero, you, sir, are not. My son has served 3 tours of combat in the countries you and your family came from. Iraq and Afghanistan were his introduction to adulthood and service to something bigger than our individual selves. He was blown up by an IED set by your countrymen. His Purple Heart is a testament to his love of America and our freedoms. I have suffered through his multiple combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, never knowing from moment to moment if he would return home in a flag-draped coffin. It is a torture when a mother wakes up to this day after day and sees the atrocities happening over there on the news and being helpless to change a thing. My comments to you will probably offend you. I do not apologize. These things need to be said. Unlike you, I could never use my son's death as a pawn piece in support of a woman that has left Americans America's treasure, which are Hilaya's own words, to die unaided in Benghazi. The same woman that says vile things to her military details there to protect her. You, sir, are supposed to be a witness to your son's bravery and sacrifice. Instead, you stood on a stage and promoted the woman that upholds the very people that killed your son. You have become a political pawn that promotes pandering to our enemy. You desecrated your son's memory by your words. You did not utter one word of outrage at anyone but Donald Trump. Are you forgetting that Trump did not kill your son? He had nothing whatsoever to do with these wars. Your son's memory should mean more to you than 5 minutes of fame on the stage of the party that voted to send your son to war, the same party that for 8 years has denied and cheated our veterans out of their deserved medical care, who for the last 3 years has cut our veterans' pays. Your son died for that Constitution you so carelessly waved around on national TV in support of the very party that exists to destroy it. As a soldier's mother, no one could ever speak for me. I find your outrage artificial. I find your party affiliation offensive. I find your wife's silence atrocious and offensive. I find you a political fool. I find your son to have been your greatest accomplishment, and you, sir, have dishonored him. I hope you memorize that pocket constitution, so you will understand what it means to be a real American and a hero. You are not one. You were used. Your son would not be proud of you. My only hope is that when my son goes on a 4th time to combat radical Islamic terrorists, and he will know that his mother never stood submissively silent about an American hero. Yes, your son was a hero that could not be manipulated, but you, sir, are a weak-minded fool. I would love to hear your thoughts this morning about the 1,500 American soldiers on the air base in Turkey being held as basic hostages as I type. Not a word from this president or party you adore, or the media that's so thoroughly manipulated and used you and your wife. So what say you, sir? What will you say to a blue and gold star family if these heroes die? In my opinion, you will say nothing. So very strong words. I did cut out a little bit of that paragraph, but very strong words there from this lady, this Blue Star mother, and she brings up a number of topics which I want to comment on later. But first of all, one thing she mentioned there, and I do want to bring that up because I had to dig hard to find anything, and I haven't found any resolution. But what was going on in Turkey? So let's have a look. This weekend, a massive presence of pro-Erdogan armed police supported by heavy vehicles, apparently dump trucks, not military vehicles, but dump trucks, enforced a lockdown at the Incirlik base, the US Air Force base in Turkey. It meant that no one from inside the base was allowed out, and no one was allowed into the base. Why would 7,000 pro-Erdogan armed police with heavy vehicles surround and block the air base? This is a total mystery. What can be seen from video and voice reports is that there are heavy dump trucks being made ready to enter the airbase, where some 50 to 90 tactical nuclear weapons are stored. All inputs and outputs to the airbase located in Turkey have been closed as Turkish Minister of European Affairs cautions that it is just a safety inspection, while local newspapers speculate that a second coup attempt may be underway. According to the Turkish Minister for European Affairs, his name Omar Çelik, this is just a routine safety inspection. However, The newspaper is saying, could it possibly be a second coup? Well, that has been refuted by the Turkish government, but then again, we now know that the Turkish government is Muslim Brotherhood. Can we believe it? We have to remember the US has 50 to 90 tactical nuclear weapons. This could be really, really dangerous. Now, the lockdown at Incirlik follows a massive wave of protests on Thursday when pro-Erdogan nationalists took to the streets yelling death to the US, and calling for the immediate closure of the base. So maybe those 7,000 troops there are to protect the base. You think so? Security personnel dispersed the protesters before they were able to make it to the base. Oh, okay, so we don't need security there. But with these dump trucks, conflicting reports, who knows what is brewing? And as I said, who knows what is brewing? This was the weekend, and we still don't know anything. This was 3 days ago. Can find very little in there other than the dump trucks and the troops surrounded the base, and then nothing. And we have to remember, because of these atomic weapons there, we should be watching what's going on. In the wake of the coup attempt, several military officials at the airbase, including its commander, General Bekir Erkanvan, were arrested on treason charges by Turkish authorities. These are obviously the Turkish military officials. They were arrested on treason charges because it was claimed that one of the rogue F-16 planes taking part in the rebellion to overthrow Erdogan's government had been refueled at the base. The general the commander of the base had apparently been attempting to seek asylum in the US. US ain't going to do that, are they? No, of course not, because the Muslim Brotherhood doesn't want it. Yes, his plea was rejected. This airbase, of course, is very important to the US and the NATO allies because it's used in the anti-terror bombing campaign in Syria and Iraq, in other words, bombing ISIS. And it's also one of 6 NATO storage sites for US tactical nuclear weapons. As we said, 50 to 90. Obviously, the exact number is classified, but somewhere between 50 and 90. Now, suppose the Turks go in and just take those weapons. Anything is possible. Anything at all. And of course, this is coming in the wake of a lot of instability in Turkey, with the purges being held by Erdogan, and now there's this weekend as well, there was a sweeping military reform where all military academies were going to be scrapped and replaced with a new National Defense University. Yeah, they want to get everything under one roof and keep it all under control, because the Muslim Brotherhood does not trust the military. Look what the military did in Egypt to the Muslim Brotherhood, and they were trying to do it here in Turkey as well. Okay, folks, very quickly, before we go to the first commercial, I'd like to go back to the Gold Star spat. Not so much to talk about it, but to point out to you what the lamestream media, the regressives, and with the regressives I basically mean the Washington elites on both sides of the aisle, are doing. They're digging up every single topic they can around Donald Trump. Anything he says is passed out 100 times, and they look for any excuse to keep him off message. Any little thing he says is twisted, is turned into some kind of terrible thing. Why? Because they don't want him talking about the economy. They don't want him talking about the Second Amendment. They don't want him talking about immigration, because that's where he wins. And they know it. And they know if they can do this, they are going to keep him on his toes. Hopefully, the Donald will get advice from his team and will focus on the topics that I just mentioned, right? Jobs, immigration, Second Amendment, economy, etc. Let his surrogates focus on losers like the Khan, on things like election rigging, etc. Meanwhile, of course, let me just add to that, while the LSM is focusing on every single little word that Donald utters wrong, have you noticed how they're ignoring the fact that 3 more Democrats have had to resign over the leaked email scandal? The CEO, the CFO, and the communications director of the DNC, basically the National Party, have resigned because of that email scandal. Okay, folks, just want to say hi to, before we go to commercial break, especially for Mary, because I see Mary is in the chat room, but Rex and Paul as well. So all of you, welcome back. Thanks for joining me this week. And as Paul says, yes, distractions, because they want to distract from Trump's message. And unfortunately, they are being a little successful. Trump needs to get back on message, because that's how he's going to win. Anyway, I'm very late for the commercial. So, folks, here we go. I'll be right back.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, folks, welcome back. And I went back and checked in the chat room. Mary hasn't arrived yet, so she missed the commercials, as I mentioned. Actually toning down a little bit on the commercials, but I do have to thank a listener, because someone did actually call for the services of one of the commercials that I've been running, and I'm very pleased to say it was one of the ones that has a fairly high payout. So it has covered the costs of running the show for for a little over 3 months again, and my appreciation for that. Thank you very much. For those of you that would like to contribute in any other way, and I shall put my pride aside and beg, but if you would like to support the show, just go to www.patrickcomelately.us on the web. Up at the top of the page, you'll see a link to a PayPal link where you can donate to the show. I'm sorry, I'm not a charity, so you can't write it off of your taxes, but anything you can contribute, much appreciated to keeping the show going. Okay, let's see. Let's go for another topic, one that Donald also dragged up over the weekend, and obviously he was being interviewed, and they bring up all sorts of topics because they're looking for all, as I said before the break, looking for all sorts of things that they can nail him on, and they know that if they can bring up all these different things that he's going to rise to the bait on some of them, unfortunately. And the other one was the fact that he brought up, that he was saying this whole debate schedule is rigged to support the Hill Liar. Well, people are saying, oh no, this is a bipartisan committee, and this is people from both sides of the aisle, and how could it be fixed? Well, it's just that. Think about it, folks. It's a bipartisan committee. It's not a neutral group. It's a group that consists of some people on the left and some people on the right. Now, Newt Gingrich sort of said, well, these are a bunch of out-of-touch Washington elites, and they don't realize what they did. And for those of you that don't know, there are 3 debates scheduled between now and the election. 2 of those debates go up against major NFL games. One Sunday Night Football, one on Monday Night Football. An accident? I think not. Look at what they did to the debates between Bernie Sanders and Hill Liar. A lot of them were also against NFL games, or they're on a Saturday night when a lot of people wouldn't be listening, right? They keep them out of prime time. So I disagree with Gingrich. He says it was out of touch Washingtonian elites. I think the right side of the bipartisan committee are probably Washingtonian elites that were out of touch and didn't realize that the left side of the bipartisan committee were doing exactly what they wanted in suggesting those dates. They didn't say it was up against NFL games, but they were doing exactly what the left wants, is to bury Hill Liar's debate behind the football, so a lot less people will be watching. And why is that? Because they know she's not very good at debates. She doesn't come across well. She's cold and calculating, and that shows on the TV. And especially having to debate against Donald, they know that he'll just sweep the floor with her, and they really have to do everything to keep that from the American public. So bipartisan committee, yeah. Totally out of touch? No. The left knew what they were doing. It's just the right that are stupid and letting them get away with it as well. Well, let's go on. Been complaining in the topic before, or a couple of topics ago, about the lamestream media ignoring 3 more Dems who resigned. But the lamestream media does more than that. I think I mentioned 2 or 3 shows ago about a 5-year-old girl that had been raped by a group of Muslim youths, and the lamestream media has been sweeping this heinous Muslim crime under the rug. Even worse than that, Slate magazine, right, a very left-wing thing, published an essay or a piece about this rape case, which occurred in Twin Falls, Idaho, right out in farming country. The author was Michelle Goldberg, and she subtitled her piece, "A Sexual Assault Case Involving Refugee Children in Idaho, a Microcosm of America in the Age of Trump." Now, just those last few words should tell you exactly which direction this article is going on, because the article was basically used to demonize the opposition to the Democrats' policies of bringing in more and more Muslim migrants. Michelle Goldberg, although she wrote the article, and it was the official title was, "If you want to live here, you need to live by the rules here." But Michelle Goldberg didn't care about the 5-year-old that was raped. And in actual fact, in a lot of things she said, she was putting the little girl and her family on trial. She did not describe what happened in the rape. She insinuated that the mother was doing it to get money. And that's because they put up a GoFundMe account, which they needed because the family basically doesn't have any money, and they couldn't move out of the apartment that they live, which is right next door to the apartment where the rapists are still living. I mean, to me, that's totally unbelievable that Department of Family Services, or whatever it's called in Idaho, hasn't found a way to move them out of that apartment into a total different address. They shouldn't be next door to these rapists. And on top of that, the rapists haven't been charged with anything because they're only kids. Now, when you read the story, and it is way too graphic for me to even touch on any of it, because of the fact that I get broadcast on a terrestrial radio, and the FCC would be after the station owner if I could even mention even just 1/10 of what happened. But look it up. They're replaced on the internet. It is just unbelievable what these children were doing. And as they say, what is it? Idiots and children speak the truth. These children are only doing what they are being taught by their parents, which is that the infidel women are worse than worse, and you can do anything with infidel women because they're just animals. Well, the animals are the ones that are doing, not the women to whom it's being done, but you can see that's the way the children are being taught. And folks, we need to wake up to that kind of thing, because it is just unbelievable. Michelle Goldberg, in that article, writes some very strange things. For example, she says, "At first glance, it might seem like an odd idea to bring traumatized foreigners to a remote conservative American farming town." But then she goes on to explain, and she quotes Zizi Rasama, who she identifies as the director of the CSI Refugee Center and a Congolese refugee himself, saying the integration process happens faster than in big cities. In small towns like this, everyone knows everyone. People are approachable. Yeah, but also rapeable, and with a political and media machine ready to come to the aid of the rapists. It's not Michelle saying that. That's the commentator who published this piece. More that Goldberg writes. Refugee advocates insist that the vast majority of Twin Falls citizens support the newcomers. So who are the refugee advocates, and how do they know that the vast majority of Twin Falls citizens support? Has there been a referendum? Has there been kind of vote? No. She goes on to say, this mounting demonization of refugees in Twin Falls has coincided, of course, with the rise of Donald Trump. Now we get to the crux of the matter. So it's not the refugees' fault, it's Donald Trump's fault. That's what it's all about. But so you see, I mean, this is just unbelievable how they twist all of this. Have you heard very much about this case after it occurred? It was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. No. Another case of the LSM just trying to sweep stuff under the rug. Okay, folks. It looks like it might be time for another break, and maybe this time again a little bit of music. But let's go to break. I will be back shortly.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
This is Stefan, your Patriot come lately, proud to be on Red Nation Rising Radio. These can be dark and depressing times, but Main Street USA finally has a competitive voice to traditional mainstream media outlets, and it's screaming at all hours, 24/7, we want our country back. America, it's time to wake up, expose the regressives, and keep listening to the new dominant force in conservative internet talk radio, the Red Nation Rising Radio Network, powered by ICRN. You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network.
Taking my country back, putting it back on the right track. Corrupt politicians making bad decisions, we all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I could hear them say, hey, take your country back, my friend. You gotta take your country back. Get out of my way or slip on this train. I'm headed to my Washington house to let those suckers know on election day I'm gonna kick most of them on out. And shout no more high taxes. We want a free market system. We don't like socialism. See, we believe in capitalism. And we love our children, and we love this nation. So let's protect our borders and protect our freedom. I'm taking my country back, putting it back on the right track. Corrupt politicians making bad decisions, we all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I can hear them say, take your country back. Oh yeah, son, you gotta take your country back. Take your country back. Oh yeah, you gotta take your country back. Now Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and John Quincy Adams too. If you could go to Washington one more time, what would you say or do? I'd say no more high taxes. We want a free market system. We don't like socialism. See, we believe in capitalism. And we love our children. And taking your country back, putting it back on the right track. Now corrupt politicians making bad decisions, we all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I could hear them say, take your country back right now. Yeah, you gotta take your country back. I'll take your country back right now. Son, you gotta take your country back. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. And put it back on the right track. Oh, yeah. God help us take our country back and put it back on the right track. Yeah, put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. Oh, yeah, take it back. Oh, take it back. And put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Take it back and put it back on the right track. And put it back on the right track. Oh, yeah.
And that was Taking Your Country Back. I just had to play that song as I debuted that new station ID, the longer version of the station ID, which also plays on the Red Nation Rising network. I was quite pleased 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was listening to the network. It's a great network, lots of good shows on there. Seems to have taken over from Red State Talk Radio, which is I think going down the tubes. But anyway, and Red Nation, and they were playing that promo. I've decided to put it in the show as well, and of course I talk in the promo about taking back the country, so just had to play that song. It's a great song, and of course if you like that kind of 50s style music, very nice too. Anyway, I think it's time to go to a new topic. And this next topic is going to be about more lies from the Clinton family. More lies. So let's go back to the lies that before the more, and then we'll talk about the more lies. But the lies before, and I want to focus in on some very specific lies. Clinton finally, after months and months and months, actually had an interview with Chris Wallace on Fox News. Now, got to remember, Chris Wallace is a registered Democrat, but he did ask some hard-hitting questions. What I would fault him with, though, when she gave obviously incorrect answers, he didn't drill down. And what are obviously incorrect answers? Well, she answered in one sentence. She actually encompassed 5 lies. She was asked about the fact that she had apparently, based on the information that came out of the interview, if you like, that, oh, well, not the interview, but the meeting held on the Hill, where, amongst others, Trey Gowdy asked Director Comey a number of direct questions. And based on that, it turned out that she may have told Congress, but also the American people, some whoppers. So Chris Wallace asked her about that, and she said, oh no, the way I heard it, Director Comey said that everything I said was true. Well, of course, I'm sure if you've watched any TV, especially Fox News, they're even now, that's been one of the PACs has turned that into a commercial, because basically Trey Gowdy asked 5 questions, and on every question Director Comey said no, she did not tell the truth, and that included, did she give all her work emails? He said they found thousands that had not been given to the State Department. Were any of them classified? Yes, some of them were classified. Did she have multiple devices? She said she didn't have multiple devices. No, she had multiple. I mean, just a whole 5 very specific things. So those are the, if you like, those are the foundational lies, in addition to everything else. Because, I mean, she's a pathological liar. I think sometimes she may even be worse than Obama, which is virtually impossible. So she lied, and now we're going to go to more lies. Now, she finally talked to Chris Wallace. So before we go to the more lies that I want to talk about, but let's look at one other thing. She finally talked to Chris Wallace. She hasn't had a press conference in months. I think 6 months, something like that, maybe longer, and yet the mainstream media doesn't say anything about that, and also doesn't say anything about earlier that week, Trump had stood up and given full access to the press to ask any question they wanted. Now, he was fairly hard on them once or twice when they basically reiterated the same question. He said, I'm not going to answer that because I already answered that, which is good. But he basically said, you can ask any question you like, and they did. And do you see much mention of that? Did he get much kudos from the mainstream media? No, of course not, because their darling Hillary, who hasn't held a press conference in 6 months, now she finally deigned to give Fox News Channel this thing, and then she lies through her teeth. I mean, I can't understand how America could just close their eyes and accept all of this. But as I did see a quick thing on the TV today, and basically someone said they could get video of Hillary shooting someone, and the 45% that's going to vote for her is going to vote for her anyway. And I think that's probably quite true. I mean, Trump said it as a joke a while back, but this is also quite true of her. She could, she can do almost anything she likes. They're going to let her get away with it. So what's about these more lies that I want to talk about? Well, we know about all the other lies. We know about these 5 that Director Comey said she told. We know about all the fraud and everything around the Clinton Foundation. So what about all the money she and Bill got from the speaking engagements? Well, when you dig into that, guess what? It turns out that those speaking engagements, right, where, especially when she was at the State Department, she was supposed to give full disclosure of who was paying for these events, not just for her, but also for Bill. Well, a lot of these events, in fact, the vast majority of these events, are actually listed under small companies. Small companies that turn out basically just to be the agents that arranged the meeting. In other words, it's not the company that's paying for it. No, someone is paying the company who pays Hillary or Bill to come speak with these outrageous sums, which, is way, way higher than any other speaker, any other president that's going out on the speaking tour. So you really think that those are just normal ones that they're getting for speaking? No, there's a lot behind that, obviously. And it goes to the foundation, it goes to them, but the people who are paying that are expecting a lot in return. But they were all being funneled through these agencies that had arranged the event, so that they didn't have to actually expose who was truly paying for them. Well, think about it. Is that transparency, or should I say lack of transparency? It is total hiding, it is total lying, because on a disclosure form, which they legally had to fill in, it has no value if you put that company, because that's not actually, bears no relationship to who is actually fronting the money for that speech, paying these outrageous sums. Typical Clintons, but what else can you expect? They're just a bunch of lying thieves, totally untrustworthy, and how America can even vote for the evil Wicked Witch, I don't know. Okay, folks, time for another commercial break. I will be right back.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
You're listening to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patrickcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, folks, I always say time flies when you're having fun, and we're into the last segment of the show. Yeah, time has flown, but let's have some quick other topics before the end of the show. And let's have a look here. What's the next topic? Well, the DNC has been caught breaking federal law at the convention last week. Yes, the DNC violated Section 8 of the U.S. Code, paragraph 1324. And how did they do that? Well, they aided and abetted two illegal aliens on the first night of the convention by having them appear at the convention and also appear on TV. Now, that is... So aiding and abetting illegal aliens is against that section of the U.S. Code. Right? And so if you weren't watching the DNC, so you didn't see it, but it was at the 8 o'clock time frame, just after 8, so prime time, an illegal alien was invited to accompany her daughter to tout Hillary Clinton for president. During her speech, which was televised, the daughter explicitly said her mother is in the United States illegally. Minutes before they spoke, the DNC played a video showing the daughter communicating with Hillary Clinton during one of her tour stops. It was then that the daughter admitted to Hillary Clinton that her mother received a government-issued letter of deportation. Clearly, the mother is ignoring the deportation order, and so is the DNC, and so is Hillary Clinton. In other words, they're breaking the law. And then, following this young girl, another illegal alien took to the podium, and she said in clear English, "I came to America illegally with my mother. We crossed the Rio Grande on the raft." So, harboring, aiding and abetting two illegal aliens. Number one. Number two, who paid for them to travel and who paid for their lodging in Philadelphia? I would imagine the DNC. Right? So, again, aiding and abetting. Is anybody going to get arrested? Is anybody going to get fired for that? I doubt it, because remember, it's the regressives. They don't play by the rules like we do. Another quick topic. Here's something that Elizabeth Warren said. What kind of man roots for an economic crash that costs millions of people their jobs? Not just roots for an economic crash, but profits from an economic crash. Now, of course, she was trying to push some blame onto something that Donald Trump said, but don't forget, who bankrolls Elizabeth Warren? Yeah, spooky dude, that's right, George Soros, who profited from economic crashes twice, once in the UK, once in Asia, that cost millions of people their jobs. That's right, spooky dude. One of the supposedly better speakers at the DNC was Michelle Obama. Here's something she said, very scary. In this election and every election, it's about who will have the power to shape our children for the next 4 or 8 years of their life. Now, that sort of, that sounds okay, doesn't it? No. Think about it. The power to shape our children for the next 4 or 8 years of their lives. Isn't that something parents should be doing? Not the government. Get the government out of our house, out of our lives. So now you know how the regressives think. Right? Terribly, terribly. Really, really frightening. Okay, folks, let's see. Oh, by the way, what about Obama being out in Singapore? I wonder if he's playing any golf while he's out there. Of course, in Singapore, very, very exclusive, very, very expensive to play golf there. But so I don't know if he's doing that. But did you notice? I thought there was an unwritten rule that when politicians traveling abroad, they don't say bad things about politicians at home, especially a president talking about other presidential candidates. Of course, the rules don't apply to Obama, because what was he doing? He was bad-mouthing Trump out in Singapore. Stupid nutcase. Well, I can't say what I'd like to say, like I said, because the FCC would come after the radio station. But yeah, you can imagine what I'm thinking. Just unbelievable that he would stoop so low as to do that. I mean, even doing it in America is bad enough. The president shouldn't get mixed up in that. But he's worried that his legacy is going to get lost. I can see that. Okay, folks. Time ran away. I hope I've touched on some topics. Like, as ever, I'm going to say to you folks, you really need to do your best to get these messages out to everyone, and make sure that they're aware of all these things going on, because we can't afford another third Obama term under Hillary. And let me say one thing. For all the bad things that Donald Trump says, just think of one thing: the Supreme Court. That should be enough for you to decide what you should actually be doing in the next election come November 8th. Anyway, time to say TTFN, folks. Please do join me next week. It's been fun again. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.